Ladies and gentlemen, Smackdown was so bad. It is an hour and a half before the show is over, and I have shut it off. I nearly fell asleep about 40 minutes in after whatever the first match was, I forget. But after that, I almost fell asleep. Julia is one of the worst wrestlers of all time, okay? Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, this feud sucks. All of the matches, just listen to some of the stuff you got. Chris Sabin versus Tommaso Ciampa. Michin and B-Fab versus Piper Niven and whatever. I almost said Jessica Alba. Alba Fire, you know what I'm saying? You had Rey Fenix and Jimmy Uso versus some jobbers. I don't even remember. George Corn on the Cob and Jacob Fatu. This episode sucks. It sucks. This is how this episode's gonna work, this review for this episode. I'm gonna patch up and go back and see the things that I missed on tonight's episode and fill it in as the review goes on. I only saw the first hour and a half of the show, so I'm gonna just review off that so far, and I'll add on the stuff I missed later. But this, SmackDown is dead. It's as simple as that. WWE is dead. The company is failing at every single metric. The viewership has tanked. The merch sales are down. You think that Karrion Kross selling some of the top merch is good? That's a bad thing. Because there's maybe 100,000 people in the entire world that have that t-shirt. Which means that nobody's actually buying any of this merchandise. Because nobody cares. You understand that? Nobody's buying these Karrion Kross shirts for real. They maybe have 100,000 people globally that have that t-shirt, man. And it's sold out. That lets you know how many little amounts of people are actually buying the merchandise because nobody cares. It's trash content. While every single week we get bad booking, bad stories, bad feuds, bad matches, lackluster and uneventful, and just no effort on any of these shows, any of the PLEs. It's embarrassing, man. And you know it. Now, last year, obviously, once Cody won the championship, things became awful. Triple H obviously had, Cody as champion and all the other champ. Gunther became world champ, all that stuff. The summer of last year's WWE and the latter parts of 2024 were horrible. Mania build was incredible. You were glued to your screen for SmackDown and Raw. The Rock showing up, Roman showing up. Rollins and Rhodes were actually doing interesting things. You had all the mid-card feuds and the average matches were solid. And SmackDown was 2 hours, so you could actually get it over with and had solid content throughout. Now we have a 3-hour SmackDown with no star power, no creativity, and garbage segments every single second, man. It is impossible to watch this show now. It is unwatchable. When it goes to 2 hours and Cena's there more often, and maybe you add Dr. Libations back in the mix, Roman comes back, etc. Once you do that, maybe it'll just barely be watchable. But right now at 3 hours, this is unwatchable. I will never, ever watch a 3-hour episode of SmackDown in its entirety ever again. Probably. It's not going to happen. Hopefully it goes back to 2 hours like it's supposed to in June or July, but until then, it's a disaster, bro. This company is a failure, and amidst it going through these awful struggles, we have to sit here and see Triple H on his little Twitter video segment talking about how Money in the Bank is going to New Orleans. I don't give a crap about it going to New Orleans. This is a disaster, man. We get WrestleMania in Las Vegas again for money. It's over. And you know this. It's done. Everything I've said for the last year dang near at this point is come to pass. Triple H has continued to give us horrible storylines and has ruined the creativity and the quality of the product. And TKO has not done any favors by giving these garbage, ticket prices. They're outpricing the fans and giving you bad product. If you want to charge people a lot of money for the product, then cool. But the product better be a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. Is this current product a 10 out of 10 to you? No. Just look at the matches we're getting, man. Why would anybody want to watch Chris Sabin versus Tommaso Ciampa on a 3-hour SmackDown in 2025? I saw fans yawning. I saw some of the worst botches of my life. This is a disaster, man, and it will be treated as such. This SmackDown review tonight may be 12 minutes or maybe 10 minutes around that point because there's nothing to talk about. Nothing's happening. We're a day before Saturday Night Main Event, and it feels like nothing is happening tomorrow because that's exactly what's going to happen. It's a house show coming in tomorrow, so I'm absolutely done with this. Let's get into the review. We started off with a promo segment. Tiffany Stratton basically comes out and talks about Tiffy time for the 5 billionth time, okay? She basically brings up the fact that she beat Charlotte, she beat Nia Jax, and she says, Savannah, Georgia, what time is it? And then, she says Tiffy time. Then Alexa Bliss basically comes out, and Alexa Bliss says that, she cashed in her Money in the Bank contract once upon a time too, and she cashed it on Nia Jax. But she liked Nia Jax, and she doesn't know Tiffany Stratton. And then she basically says, be careful because your rise to the top in that championship will be just as fast as your downfall. Then Charlotte Flair gets booed out of the arena and basically claims that she takes whatever she wants, which, you know what, whatever. Then Tiffany Stratton basically calls them both old. She says, you're both kind of vintage for me. You're the standard and I am the upgrade. And wait, it's always going to be Tiffy time. And then she basically, gets off the mic, and then Charlotte and Alexa Bliss stand there, and then Julia comes out, and we get to witness one of the worst women's triple threat matches ever. There was an egregious botch. I'm going to play the video for you right here. This botch was egregious. This is one of the most unacceptable botches of all time. Just unacceptable, man. This is horrible. The crowd's not even reacting to it. No one knows what's happening in the clip. It's a bad move, and Julia has no idea what she's doing. She botched multiple moves in this match. Charlotte had a couple botches because she's clearly the only good in-ring wrestler in that entire match, and Zelina Vega is just botching moves left and right as well. And this is the product you get on a Smackdown show. And you wonder why last week's Smackdown got record low viewership for the show and the program over the last 30 years it's been a thing. 20, 30 years, whatever. Just imagine how low the viewership's going to be for this week. Just imagine it, man. It's done. And you know it. Then we get to the next segment, or next match. Chris Sabin versus Chris Sabin versus Tommaso Ciampa. I'm skipping this. Nobody cares. Candice LeRae comes back and helps Tommaso Ciampa win the match. Nobody cares. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre then brawl. Nobody cares. And then we get to a point where we have Piper Niven and Alba Fire versus Michin and B-Fab, okay? There's no pops throughout this whole match because nobody cares. This match doesn't lead to anything. That's the problem with SmackDown. You get a bunch of monotonous, boring segments and ads to fill the time slots out, but nothing's leading to anything. So you get this match, and nobody cares about anything that's happening inside of it, okay? So basically, Piper Niven and Jessica Alba, I'm just going to call her Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba basically loses this match. Piper Niven and Michin whatever. We're skipping this match. Michin and B-Fab won the match. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about any of this. Then the last thing I saw was a Jimmy Uso and Rey Fenix versus Jacob Fatu and JC Mateo match. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that JC Mateo and Jacob Fatu got this W, but I'll cover it in a second after I go watch the highlight, because that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to watch the highlights for the rest of the stuff I missed and fill it in and finish up the review in another 5 to 6 minutes max. There's nothing to speak of. I'm not going to force something out when they have nothing to give us because SmackDown is so bad. So I'm done, man. I'm done. I'm done. If they're not going to put effort into it, I don't give a crap anymore, bro. This show sucked. It's awful. I'll fill the rest in and we'll add it on. And now I've caught up on the stuff that I've missed. Basically, as I predicted, Jacob Cobb or Jeffrey Cobb, corn on a cob, have your corn with a side of mashed potatoes. I don't know. Jeffrey Corn on a Cobb and Jacob Fatu beat Jimmy Uso and Rey Fenix, I'm pretty sure. And then it's revealed that Jacob Fatu is going to have a qualifying match for the Money in the Bank next week. Obviously, I'm sure there will be some type of shenanigans with him and Solo, and he'll end up losing this match, but there you have that. Then we also get R-Truth cutting a promo. It's 2025, and R-Truth is cutting a promo while the person he's cutting a promo against isn't even in the building. That is what you are getting on SmackDown now, because everyone that's good or any meaning in this company is a part-timer. So R-Truth cuts a promo basically saying to John Cena the same stuff he's been saying for the last week, because this match has no build. It's not even for the belt, which honestly, if R-Truth can pin John Cena tomorrow because this match is for nothing, I think that would actually be great. That would actually be really good, and I would actually commend Triple H if he booked it like that, but that's just me. Anyways, he basically says he's going to beat Cena. He's going to beat the sense back into him, and he doesn't know if he can save Cena from the person that he's becoming, because this isn't him. And if John Cena wins, he riots, okay? We riot. That's what R-Truth's whole promo was. This is pretty embarrassing to have this segment even exist, but you know what? I'm kind of down for this feud, even though it's not really a feud. It's a 2-week program with one person showing up and the other one's at home. So, there you have that. Then we get LA Knight basically rolled up, D-Lister Black hit the black mass on Shinsuke, and then LA Knight swooped in and got the cover. So LA Knight is going to Money in the Bank, baby. This is the only great part of the night, because I really do think LA Knight's going to win this Money in the Bank. I think it's his time, and I think that they're not going to give us, a situation where we think LA Knight's going to do something. I think they actually are going to go through and have him win the Money in the Bank in a couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to him eventually having that match, and hopefully he wins. If he doesn't win, then it'll just be another botched Money in the Bank event like last year. Then we have Zelina Vega versus Chelsea Green is officially announced for tomorrow night's Saturday Night Main Event. No one cares about this, so let's move on. And then we get the main event, which is Street Profits versus Fraxium. And at the end of this match, basically the long story short, obviously Obviously, Fraxium has a new Def Rebel intro music. Their theme song is absolutely horrendous, man. It's so bad. It's so corny, but, it's expected at this point. And then the Jobber 6 that I predicted would eventually become, basically just become oblivious jobbers that would never be on the show, like, literally at all. Hence why they haven't been on the show in probably like 5 or 6 months at this point. But they basically return at the end of this and beat up the Prophets and beat up DIY and, beat up Fraxium. And now we're supposed to care about this, even though everyone knows dang well no one cares about this. They're jobbers. Half the crowd had already left the arena by this point, so no one even saw this. It's over. The Wyatt Six is a failed experiment, and I'm glad that I didn't waste my time even tuning into this match. What are the Wyatt Six going to do now? Win tag belts that nobody cares about? Do nonsense matches that'll be cool for 1 minute and then they'll be trashed the rest of it and no one will talk about it after it's done? That's what we're going to get? Nobody cares about this. It's time to move on, man. The Wyatt Six did have a birthday cake with them, obviously, because today I think marks Bray Wyatt's what would have been his, 39th birthday or something like that. It would have been his birthday. You get the point. So, yeah, rest in peace to Bray Wyatt, obviously, and that's basically that. But other than that, that was pretty much SmackDown. This is easily one of the worst SmackDown episodes of all time. It was a waste of time, and I'm glad I didn't sit here and watch this for 3 hours, and I watched an hour or so of it live and then moved on, because that's exactly what this show deserved. This was garbage. It gets a 1.5 out of 10, and that's all I got to say about that. I will be reviewing Saturday Night mid-event tomorrow, and I'll see you guys for that. Thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for watching. Have a phenomenal day. Peace out and one love.